AM 1260 KLYC, 741 is the time. And let's change gears here and talk to Sal Peralta here on A Cup of Coffee this morning. Talk a little bit closer to the microphone. How you doing, Sal?
Great. Thank you for having me on.
Now, you want to be the next county commissioner.
Well, yes, that is true. But before we get to that, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate the speed with which you have integrated yourself into the community. Your Facebook page with all the photos of the events that you cover around the county is probably the best Facebook page I've seen for covering events countywide, and I just really appreciate all the work that you're doing here at the station.
Well, thanks for saying that. It's we're not trying to toot our own horn a little bit, but it's been a lot of work, and this is an awesome community. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of people that really care about this community. Not that other people don't, but the dynamics in this community are really exciting, and they just welcome the kind of radio we want to do, which is we go out, like you just heard my wife do an interview with the little kids at Heiser Pumpkin Patch, and she loves talking to the kids. It makes great radio. It's very fun, and it's very community. This is an area that really embraces community, and that's an area that we want to, I don't want to say grow up in since we're in our 50s, but that we want to continue to experience life in and share it with the community. And so it just really fit the kind of radio we want to do. And we really want to say, I guess, take a minute and just really thank the supporters, thank the advertisers that have continued to allow us to stay on the air. And as we look at growing the community, growing the radio station, I should say, we're going to be adding video. There's a lot we want to do in the future, and we're trying to do it as fast as we can without burning ourselves out. But so yeah, it's a great community to be in, and just we just want to say thank you for welcoming us to the community, and there's more to come.
That's fabulous. And like you, I feel really blessed to be a part of the community here. We moved here in 2000, my wife and I. She's a professor at Linfield College, teaches psychology there.
Go Wildcats.
Go Cats, 84-7. Wow, that's just unbelievable. But we've been here for some time. We've sunk deep roots into the community. We feel very blessed to be a part of McMinnville and Yamhill County more generally. I've been involved in the political system here in Oregon for most of the last 12 years. I ran for public office in 2006 for the state legislature and narrowly lost to the three-term incumbent, who's actually really a wonderful lady who has since retired. And I had honestly thought after that 2006 race, because it is so much work, that I would never consider running for public office again. But my wife actually encouraged me to run this time because, as I mentioned, I've been involved in politics at the state level, but we really wanted to focus on something that would keep me here closer to home. Starting in 2007, some colleagues formed what is called the Independent Party of Oregon. And the reason they formed it was that Democrats and Republicans in the state legislature had passed a law that made it more difficult to run for public office as an independent. They doubled the number of signatures that you needed to gather. They actually even removed the word independent from the ballot. And after I had run the race in 2006, they asked me if I would come and help them to organize this new political party. And I said, sure, that sounds like a fine thing, but I'm really not sure who these people are that are calling themselves independent. So what we did is we did a series of preference surveys, starting with the McCain-Obama election and concluding with the Romney-Obama election, where we asked our members, first, who did you vote for president, so we'd get a sense whether people were to the left or to the right, and second, what would you like to see state government focus on over the next, 4 years, 6 years? And what we found was a little surprising, that there is a lot of agreement on the left and on the right on a range of issues that have been generally ignored at the state level of government. They're consumer protection, particularly as it relates to banks and insurance companies and private utilities. Campaign finance reform to reduce special interest control over our legislative process. Increased transparency with respect to how government spends our money. And then the number one thing that folks identified in a general sense that they thought government could work on was improving jobs in the economy. But there was very little agreement. We had several questions that related to jobs in the economy, but there's very little agreement on what government could do. People were actually rather pessimistic about the government getting involved in such things. But there were two things that we found that people agreed with. One was that the state should award when the state awards contracts to businesses, they should give a preference to Oregon-based companies so that we keep those tax dollars here in Oregon. And two, that we should provide incentives for businesses that engage in capital construction projects, building new facilities for the purpose of hiring new workers in Oregon. That those were things that could be prioritized. And so I've spent most of the last 6 years working in the state legislative context, promoting a coalition of Republicans and Democrats to work on those issues. We've had pretty mixed success, I have to say, but we've had some big wins. And I'd like to take the experience that I've gathered building coalitions and working collaboratively at the in the legislative context, and bring some of those ideas down to Yamhill County so that we can hopefully continue to build the economy, promote the same quality of life that we enjoy today. So that's really part of the reason why I've decided to run for this county commissioner position.
You know, as we take a look, you breach a good point there as far as in the independent party, and I sense that there's a lot of frustration. I've experienced some frustration as I just step aside from a news reporter and interviewer standpoint and just look as a citizen, and you look at what's been going on in the national level, but with the government shutdown and the fight over Obamacare, and just see the what we would call it, the inaction on the federal level between getting something resolved here, where you just you entrench yourself and you fight a pitched battle and you say, this is how we're going to be, and we're not going to entertain anything from the other side. You're going to come to our side, or else we're going to. It's almost like two people fighting over the wheel of the Titanic as it's going down.
Well, I agree. I think there's a lot of gamesmanship. I think that the political system, particularly in Washington, D.C., is so far removed from the lives of ordinary citizens that is something that I would never want to be a part of. And I don't know anyone who is just an ordinary working American who has any desire to be a part of that system. It's so frustrating. And I've never seen in my lifetime the two sides further apart. And I've spent the last 6-7 years trying to build a coalition, getting these two groups to work together on a very narrow set of issues, and I think there's value in that. But I also think that there's value in listening to the people in your community. And so one of the things that I decided when I made the decision to run for this county commissioner position was, rather than paying a $50 filing fee, I could go into the county clerk's office today and hand them $50 and an application, and I would be on the ballot. And instead, what I've decided to do is to go door to door to personally collect 500 signatures. That's the other way of getting on the ballot on petitions. And in part because this forces me to go out and talk to people, to see how folks are living in the community, to see what people think. And as someone who's been involved in the political process for some time, I've never seen the people more frustrated than they are today. Usually in the past, when I'd go and knock on a door with a Democratic voter or a Republican voter, they'd be mad at the other side. They'd be mad at, the Democrats would be mad at the Republicans and vice versa. But today, I'm finding Republicans are frustrated with Republicans, Democrats are frustrated with Democrats, and they really want government to just focus on the needs and the interests of the people. And it's something that I believe deeply in, that when you're choosing to run for public office, you really need to be connected and deeply embedded with the community, and you really need to kind of try and walk a mile in other people's shoes, and that's really what I'm trying to do with this campaign.
Now, the next comment, we're not trying to say anything against Suzanne Bonamici. There was a town hall meeting held here recently, right after they put the government back in business, and she came and held, I think, 3 or 4 town hall meetings. So I talked to about 10 people in the audience after that town hall meeting. What was your takeaway? What do you think? And we found, of the 10, this isn't a scientific poll any means, but we found one person that strongly supported Bonamici. Now, this is not, picking on her at all, but what it told me with this is there's a lot of frustration out there. And the comments we were getting was they're not, overall, Congress is not dealing with the issues, and they're fighting these battles, and they're coming home and we're asking questions and they're not answering them. Are you hearing the same kind of thing?
Yeah, I do hear that about federal politics generally, not related to Representative Bonamici. I think that one of the other things that frustrates people, and I think that you just touched on this, is that oftentimes the rare moments where you can get the two sides working together, they're working together on things that the public doesn't really want. And that creates a sense of frustration in itself. And I'll give you an example. In the last legislative session, the House Majority Leader promoted a bill to repeal huge sections of the Oregon's open meetings law. Now, the open meetings law basically says that any time that county or local government makes a decision that relates to the budget, they need to post the fact that they're having a meeting, and the meeting needs to be held in public. Now, you know as a journalist that it is very difficult to find the time to get to all of these meetings that happen around the county, and so it benefits us when we know when those meetings are going to occur, and that none of the communications that relates to how our tax dollars are being spent are happening in private. And this legislator, it appeared, had fairly strong support for this partial repeal of the open meetings law. We got wind of it. I went and lobbied against it. Our party went and lobbied against it, and we notified the press. And ultimately, we were able to kill that very bad bill. But that was a case where a bill had bipartisan support from the House Majority Leader, and it was moving on rails to repeal sections of the open meetings law. And if it wasn't for, and it wasn't just us, but citizens generally coming in and saying, look, we need to protect citizen control over our government, then that would have been something that was lost. And so that's one example of ways that government can work. Where something can happen, it seems to have bipartisan support, but it's not in the public interest. And we need to make sure that decisions are made openly and in the public interest.
Let's talk about specifically the county. Let's say you're elected for the county. What are your priorities, let's say 1, 2, and 3 on your punch list for?
Sure.
These are the issues affecting Yamhill County specifically, since that's the office you're running for.
Well, Yamhill County, actually, we're very blessed to have very capable administrators in all of the agencies at the county level. In particular, we've taken a lead. We're a national leader on evidence-based programs with respect to public safety. I would see myself as continuing in that, in promoting those programs. I'm actually feeling very blessed today because I've received the endorsement from former Sheriff Lee Vasquez and also from Andy Olson, who was the Republican leader in the legislature. But prior to that, he was the division commander for the McMinnville division of the Oregon State Police. And so public safety is something that it's about, I think, a little bit over 60% of the county budget. It's something that the commissioners need to attend themselves to, and that's a priority. Something that doesn't get a lot of public recognition, and it's really kind of early in its process, are the relationships between the county, and particularly the Health and Human Services Division, and the public school systems. We have currently informal relationships between the two as it relates to early childhood education. Early childhood education is some of the best money we can spend in terms of public dollars. What we find is that when kids are exposed to reading and literacy at an early age, it produces wonderful outcomes. It sends kids on a much better long-term trajectory. And frankly, we need that in Oregon. Oregon is 46th out of 50 states in high school graduation rates. McMinnville is not much better than the state average. The countywide, we're slightly below the state average in terms of high school graduation rates. So we need to be thinking about how we can improve the lives of the next generation of students. And, you know, that might be a very small part of county government, establishing these or building on these informal ties, but that's something that I would make a priority if I'm elected. Health and Human Services is, although it doesn't receive a significant portion of county funds, it's one place where federal and state dollars flow to in a very significant way, and it's kind of where the rubber meets the road with regard to a lot of the federal programs we hear about, the Affordable Care Act and other programs. That money ultimately flows into county health and human services. And the current administrator is a fabulous administrator. He's done a tremendous job at reducing duplication of services within health and human services, figuring out ways to leverage county dollars to bring in more federal and state money, so that our tax dollars here locally are used in the most efficient manner possible. And I would see myself as wanting to continue to support his efforts, to continue to find efficiencies in that agency, but also to leverage existing tax dollars to bring in additional funds.
So as far as the county, you see county government's priorities as law enforcement, it sounds like. Where do we go from there? If let's say, as you and many others, if you're elected to the county commissioners, and I guess I've never been a huge fan of Sam Adams. We're not related, but he was a former mayor of Portland. He just embraced some issues that I didn't support. But he came to McMinnville the other two months ago, and said some things that I thought were pretty right on. Number one was that governments, be it county, state, federal, are going to realize that there's not going to be huge amounts of new money coming from anywhere. We're pretty much tapped out, and you're going to have to take the existing pool of resources and think outside the box and look for ways to have $1 do a couple of things. And you look for ways to multitask your money or make sure that your money is being spent as efficiently as possible. So as you're thinking about that, as you know, let's say you're a county commissioner, your budget priorities are, I would think, law enforcement from what you're saying, corrections, so on and so forth. What are 2 and 3?
Well, I mentioned health and human services, and I mentioned significant bang for the buck with respect to early childhood education. But what you said is absolutely true. We are taxed enough already. I mean, we're spending a lot of money, a lot of tax dollars to promote government services. I think there's a sense among the public that where they're questioning whether those tax dollars are spent wisely and well, particularly at the federal level. And what I was saying in the last comments about reducing duplication of services, making sure that our county government is running as efficiently as it can, is something that we need to do. The other thing we need to do is to continue to maintain a strong strategic reserve fund at the county level, so that if we do have another period of economic downturn, that we can maintain some stability in terms of the services that people rely on without having to go and ask taxpayers for more money. So I think that those kinds of efficiencies are important. You know, one thing, and I know we're getting close to the end of the hour, and I've actually got to go to my day job, but one thing we didn't talk about are roads, and that's something that I think everybody has a stake in. We need those roads to get to work, to make sure that our goods and products get to market, and so we'll be, I hope, talking more later on about transportation and the importance of investing dollars wisely in that area as well. Yeah,
forgive us. We wanted to talk to you a lot about. There's just some things happening from the federal level. Obviously, you're not running for that office, but to get your perspective on that and where you are going into that. One of the, I guess, a comment that really struck with me was, as we were interviewing the people in the audience from the Sponamichi Town Hall, I asked one woman, I said, well, what do we do about healthcare? What do we do about balancing the budget? And her response was interesting. Let me ask you what you think of it. Her response was, we'll just raise taxes. What do you think about that?
I think we should. I think we should be very cautious about raising taxes. We as I mentioned before, we're already taxed at a very high rate. I think what we've seen is the tax burden has shifted over the last 40 years from essentially we've gone from a period where corporations at the state level paid about 25% of the freight with regard to taxes. Today they pay less than 5%. As that has happened, the burden has shifted onto working families and to folks that do most of the living and breathing in our communities. And I honestly think most of us are tapped out.
I would agree. As a business owner, paying higher taxes in Oregon, which already has extremely high income taxes compared to other states in the nation, we don't have a sales tax. What about that sales tax question? Do you think Oregon needs one, or are you of the volition that it's just another way for state government to raise money and it'll just open up the spigot?
Well, I honestly think it's something that's never going to happen. I have friends who favor that kind of thing, but Oregon voters have spoken on it, and I certainly wouldn't counter their fine judgment on the question of a sales tax. Sales taxes can be very regressive. They can tend to affect the poorest among us most strongly, because if you're paying 5, 6, 7% of your grocery bill, that affects somebody who's making $20,000 or $30,000 a lot more than it affects someone who's making $150,000. And so I'd be very skeptical about any kind of new sales tax.
Sal, we are going to be having you come back in. Obviously, we got a ways to go before your election is held, and we are going to have all of the candidates for sheriff and county commissioner in at least once more, if not twice more, probably twice more, before the election comes up. We record all of these interviews like we're doing this morning. And next time you come in, you're looking nice today, by the way. And there's a reason I'm saying that, is we're going to be shooting video of the cup of coffee this morning and posting that on our website so people have a chance to see and hear, and that'll be posted on our website. The interview we're doing this morning with Sal is audio only, but it's being recorded. You'll be able to hear it on our website if you want to hear Sal's responses again. So we'd like to invite you back on Cup of Coffee, probably twice more before the voters make a decision about the county commissioner's race. Well,
I think it's a tremendous public service that you're providing, and I appreciate the time. Thank you for your work.
Okay, good luck, and we'll be in touch.
Alrighty.
AM 1260 KLYC. It's Cup of Coffee this morning. It's a Monday. Glad you're with us today. News coming up, and then we're also going to be sharing with you once again why folks like to live in Sheridan. And then my lovely wife, Norma, just walked into the studio here. I don't think she can see me or hear me now, but that's okay. She had a report from Heiser Pumpkin Farm, and she did some really fun reports this weekend, and we want to share a couple of those with you coming up here on the tail end of Cup of Coffee this morning. It's Monday, 44 degrees outside, 8:05 is the time. KLYC, McMinnville, Newburgh. Welcome to Monday, 8:07 the time, 44 degrees outside. It's sunny outside this morning, at least some clear skies. Looking forward to that. Today, sunny, high of 55. Going to be a nice day, but it could be a bit windy. 25 mile per hour gusty winds are a possibility. Tonight and into tomorrow morning, cold, down to 31 degrees, maybe some patchy frost to go along with the patchy fog expected this evening. As we look down the road into the week, we're finding mostly sunny skies today and Tuesday tomorrow after the morning frost and the morning fog burns off. And then Wednesday through, as we look down the road all the way through Sunday, chance of rain, looks like the biggest chance of rain right now is Wednesday night, 30% chance of rain. Highs throughout this week should be in the mid-50s, overnight lows, not counting tonight. Tonight's supposed to be down to 31, but as we get down into Tuesday night, 35, and then we're looking at mid-40s as we're looking Wednesday and Thursday night of this coming week. So that's what we have looking at the weather forecast, 44 degrees outside, and glad you're with us today. Norma and I had a lot of fun this weekend attending various events, and we were at Heiser Farms several weekends. We weren't there every single weekend, but one of the nice things this season at Heiser Farms was the weather. They really had the weather working for them. Had some nice weather. There were some weekends we were out there, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. So Norma went out there this weekend, and there was a big turnout. There was people in the overflow parking, and she had a chance to talk to especially a lot of the kids about the fun they had. And we want to have a couple of those reports for you as well. And we're going to replay the report we had from Sheridan about why people live in Sheridan. All right? So here's one of Norma's reports from yesterday.
This is Norma with KLYC Radio out at Heiser Pumpkin Patch, and I'm talking to
Ethan Yoakum.
Ethan. You've got a truckload of really big pumpkins, so why don't you tell me what you found so fun out here at Heiser's?
I like how you can go on the different rides and you can go out, see all the different kinds of pumpkins. You could see all the stuff that they've done out there.
So talk about the rides. Is it the train ride, or is it riding in a tractor with the wagon? What's the kind of rides do you like?
I kind of like the train ride and the hay maze, and I like the tank. It is old and really cool.
That's neat. Did anybody go play with the hand pumps and do the duck races?
Yeah, I did it too.
You did it too? Did you win?
Yeah.
Was it fun to pump the red handle?
Yeah, it was.
How many times did you do it, do you think?
I did it 2 or 3 times.
How about you? Did you find anything fun at the pumpkin patch?
I like to go on the choo-choo, and I like to go on that pumpkin, and I like to go on the rides and the maze.
Did you go in and see the animals in the petting zoo, the little chicks and the bunnies?
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a great Halloween, and thanks for coming out to Heiser's and talking on the radio. This is Norma with KLYC 1260 AM. This is the last weekend to enjoy the pumpkin patch and festivities at Heiser Farms on Grand Island. Their hours are 10 to 5. If you haven't been out there yet, you'll sure want to make a trip.
AM 1260 KLYC. And yesterday, one of the places we visited was Sheridan, helping them celebrate their 133rd birthday or anniversary. We were at the museum on Bridge Street and had a chance to talk to the locals and ask them why they like to live in Sheridan. Your name, sir?
Chuck Rogers.
Chuck Rogers?
Yeah.
What do you like about Sheridan?
That's a good question because I don't know. I've been here. I moved back 10 years ago. I was raised here, come back and left, and here I am to stay.
What do you like about it?
Just go downtown, have a good time, just easy going, easy life.
People are friendly?
Yeah, somewhat. Pretty much.
Except for these other guys around the table.
Yeah.
Hey, sir, what's your name?
Rocky Goodbroad.
What do you like about Sheridan?
I lived here all my life. I guess no other place to live.
It's kind of nice to know your friends and neighbors, isn't it?
Well, up on the country, you got a wheat field on one side and a grass field on the other side, so I guess that's my neighbors.
Sir, what's your name?
John Cruikshank.
What do you like about Sheridan?
Well, it's a nice small town, and I've grown up here, and that's about it.
All right. Hey, sir, what's your name?
Ray Palmer.
Same question. What do you like about Sheridan?
Just the rural community and the people, and the small town appearance.
Okay. Sir, same question. Your name, and then what do you like about Sheridan?
Hi, my name is Terry Davis. I like the small town atmosphere and being able to just walk around town wherever I want to go. I walk.
All right. And ma'am, your name? Oh, sorry.
What do I like?
Oh, what's your name first of all?
My name is Anna Davis, and we moved up here from San Diego, and the green is what really brought us up here, and all the trees. And the small town is really nice because you get to know a lot of your neighbors, and like this group here, and it's really friendly.
AM 1260 KLYC, and we were glad to spend some time with the folks in Sheridan, helping them celebrate and honor the community. 133 years in existence, Sheridan, Oregon. Salute. AM 1260 KLYC.
This is Norma with KLYC. If you're out at Heiser's Pumpkin Patch and you see the mules, you can go for a ride with Wayne Beckwith. Let's talk to him about his ride.
Well, we got 4 mules pulling this wagon. We go out just like the tractors and take people back and forth. Several years ago, I told John, I see people come back from the rides and they always want to take their pictures with the mules, but I've never had them want to take the pictures with the tractors. What's the deal? He says, yeah, I know. They like the mules. But I got 4 mules Samuels. The two in the front are Annie and Samuel, and the two in the back are Carola and Tufa. And we just go back and forth all day today, and then we trot back home. I live in Lafayette. We trotted over here, and then on Monday we'll go back with the same wagon.
Your hat talks about Oregon Draft Horse Association.
I'm a member of that organization and helped organize that.
Thank you, Wayne. KLYC 1260 AM. This is Norma Adams.
And thank you, Norma. And of course, it's over for the year, so if you missed it, you missed it. But it's next year, and the Heiser Farms, thank you for doing what you do. It's a great place to go for families that just, maybe they've got a lot of kids, maybe they don't have a lot of money, but they can go and they can just sit and watch. And it's a huge benefit to the area, and it's a lot of fun. And we just had a ball there this year, and looking forward to going out there and covering events at Heiser Farms next year. So thank you for what you do. And also fun to be at Sheridan. One of the things we want to do with the radio station is get it very actively involved in the community. If it's happening, we want to go out and report it. Obviously, we can't be everywhere, but we'd like to be, and we'll try to be, just depending on the resources and money and so on and so forth, and the people. But we'd like to cover your event. And to that note, if you have something going on you'd like us to cover or report, or at least tell everybody that it's happening, send it to news@klyc.us, news@klyc.us. This morning's cup of coffee will be on our website, klyc.us. Look for the news tab and recent interviews, and also you can listen to it on OregonPulse.com. KLYC AM 1260, I'm Dave.